So welcome back to Texas Car Dads. So we are actually doing a very special episode where we're actually getting to hang out with the infamous Project himself, king of the Foxbody Mustangs. I would say just here in Texas, but like your builds are all over the place. So I think, you know, we're going to walk around. I think you're going to show us the commercial side of things. We are going to do a sit down and just kind of get to know Chris better. You know, maybe he likes long walks on the beach, nice glasses of wine. We'll find out. But I think we're in the spot where like a lot of your personal projects are. And I think, you know, I personally am more interested in that. So are there a couple of highlights that you want to just walk us through?
Yeah, well, you know,
everybody knows the Mustangs,
can summarize.
So we got to talk about, gotta talk about these.
Yeah, no, I've had a soft spot for BMWs forever. This is actually a GCC-spec that I bought in Dubai and is technically sort of a gray market car because this was imported into Canada. And as per Canadian standards, you get 15 years and older. The US EPA is 25 years and older. So this car kind of goes and comes back with me as, but yeah, super cool car, bucket list car for me. So Amola and Amola, stage 2, supercharged setup, 541 rear wheel.
Nice.
And it's actually a Haman car, which is a, you don't see too many of those, limited edition. So this was actually one of the original infamous Project builds. So yeah, painted in a garage. This car had caught fire and the whole front end was burnt off of it. It was an automatic car, so did a 5-speed swap. It's got M3 motor and yeah, all the ACS kit and mirrors and trimmings and everything else, which actually kind of makes it pretty rare, but that's pretty much it. I haven't touched it since I built it in like the 2000s. Yeah, so this car got built alongside this car hand in hand, where the difference here, this car kept going through a couple more iterations after I did it. Now I've owned this car 4 times now. Met one of probably my best friends buying it off of him back in the early 2000s, sold it off, bought it back, sold it off, bought it back again. And it's been everywhere. Even did Mustangs across America. It's a crowd favorite.
Yeah.
At a lot of shows. So,
all right, speaking of crowd favorites and a lot of shows, let's talk about the yellow.
Yeah, so this is probably the newest one of mine in reality. So this car, I remember it at a show in the early 2000s because it was actually shown at a same show that this white one on the top was at. So I had just built that. The individual owned this. Wasn't on these wheels and quite a bit has changed, but the yellow was the yellow.
Yeah.
And you cannot forget this color once you see it. And he actually parked this car after that show and it was never on the road again. Yeah, I don't regret buying this car one bit. So, you know, went through all the suspension, had to redo the fuel system, you know, wheels, tires, did the Recaros and full stereo, which, yeah, I can pop that if you want to quickly.
Yeah.
Because that was going full out nostalgia.
Oh, that is. No one builds these and like does this.
I know, and I wanted like the old capacitor.
Yeah.
You know, all that stuff. And I got the skateboard custom painted and mounted up there, kind of give it 90s vibe. So yeah, that's the story of the yellow one, man. So it's kind of been, yellow's my favorite color and kind of makes me, even though I don't have a Ferrari anymore, this to me is sort of like the next best thing at the moment.
So I think we would be remiss if we didn't touch on the silver. That I don't know how you get I don't know how you get it over the lip out of your garage. Because
the silver one's on air.
Okay.
So, yeah. So that's full Ride Tech bags on this one. And this is the one, so earlier I'd mentioned that I'd sold all my Fox bodies and got out of them. And I was on a hunt because when I was actually kind of around when the infamous handle came around. So in high school, I had a silver notch with a Dech kit and nowhere near as nice as this car because that's when they were $5,000 cars. But I wanted to recreate that car. Yeah. So I was that guy. Like, I need to build what I had back then, and I'm going to make it the way that I would have if I had an endless supply of money. And so this is a now maybe 18,000 original mile car. So this is all original paint from the moldings up. And yeah, full suspension, original Dech body kit out of the Dech molds, like SSBC brakes. It's got some nice, heads cam intake setup on it. And of course, Recaro seats and all that as well. And like when you got a clean Fox, you can tell just how the doors open.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the, when you're looking for a clean one, you'll know just by opening that door. So when I had it done, Derek Hansen, the late founder of Dech, he actually signed the dash in this one, which is super cool.
That is cool.
Yeah, so this one's my Dech tribute. And yeah, I guess in terms of coupes, the white one up there, that was one that I built probably fresh out of high school. And I'd sold that car and was one of the last ones to sell, like when I said I'd liquidated all my Fox bodies.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time to track that car down. And the funny thing was, I found it in 2019. It was before COVID, or was it after? Anyway, somewhere around when the prices started going crazy. And I found him on LinkedIn of all places. And he invited me to his house and said, yeah, you can come see it. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And just driving up to his property, like massive gate, and it was like a mile long windy driveway of all this and that, and just a massive, like if you think this shop is nice, like it was 5 times this in size. And that notch, and then it was Ferrari 458, Lambo, whatever, Huracan, OG, like proper Hummer, Viper, like, and just choppers, and the list went on. And I'm like, why do you have that? He's like, that was the first car that I bought before I started making it. And then he's like, I got all these. So as I'm looking around, I'm noticing one thing, and I got to ask you, Wes, can bring it in. Let's. Why do you hate wipers? I just feel like they take away.
Should we go down the list?
Dude, every
of
car in here, all of the wiper blades are removed.
If you got Rain-X on it, it's fine. It'll
Yeah.
go off.
Yeah, no, they're all.
Or just don't drive in the rain.
No, if you're going fast enough, it's just going to go right off.
Okay, so I guess we're like on the business side of
The commercial spot.
the commercial side, if you will. So what do you got going on here?
Little bit of everything.
Okay.
And it's like I mentioned to you before off camera, we're kind of transitioning a little bit, bleeding into more space, trying to get organized.
Yeah.
So got everything that would be, I guess, considered a little bit more average for your daily driver, Foxbody stuff to your damn near race car style, and then custom build where pretty much every single nut and bolt gets touched in one way or another. Right? Because like traditionally speaking, we got Dart 363 built by Woody and 2 snails on it. So this guy here, 93 Calypso, original 505 speed car. He just wants kind of like all around OEM plus with like enhancements, more so relating to the drivetrain and everything else. So this is nothing crazy. Factory Godzilla puts out 430, BTR cam swap and the Holley intake with some tuning. He'll probably end up landing, mid 500 somewhere around there.
That's reasonable. Yeah.
This car here is probably, right, like, oh, just let me Godzilla swap it. And I want to put a Harrop on the top.
Yeah.
And then it's, well, am I going to have hood clearance because of the way that the throttle body is angled? So that's actually one thing I'm fighting now. So the K-member in this guy will actually get shimmed downward to drop the motor down some. And I'm fingers crossed I'll get the clearance. As this should be the first Fox with a Harrop, with Godzilla Harrop combo. And this guy's actually got a 10R80 behind it. And yeah, tons of wiring, right, with the control pack. And this is what scares a lot of people, is seeing lots of wires, even if it's bare connectors and you think you know where everything's supposed to go. People are just kind of like, oh my God. Yeah, so like that's just kind of like 2 cars of interior and some parts there. And, you know, of course it drives you nuts because it's sort of an eyesore, but, you know, you're trying to be mindful of upholstery and plastics and all that. And, you know, there's a car gone to paint. This was a bunch of stuff that came out of that, which is coming to get picked up. So, you know, there's the messy side of things, and then there's the clean side, and, you know, trying to clean is better. But some of these Fox bodies this day and age, man, like there's every type of oil or fluid or whatever else leaking from something collected and everything else. So there's definitely days of getting your hands dirty, and then, you know.
All right, so now we're going to dive into the Q&A portion with, I guess, do you go by the Infamous Project or you go by Chris on socials?
Usually they handle, like if we're going back to the old forum days, right? Everything was just Infamous, which stemmed from being young, driving a Fox body. Everyone thought I dealt drugs. Yeah. And it was sort of that same time when Mobb Deep had the Infamous album that was out. So that became my license plate and my handle, and it just kind of stuck. All right. So it goes way back to, probably I was 14 probably when I started using the handle.
Which, for anybody who's not keeping track, that actually takes out question number 3. What got you into cars in the first place? Like, everybody always has like that story that like, this is when it clicked for me.
You know what? I wouldn't say I have that story of, oh my God, that car drove past as I was a kid every day and, you know, got me into cars. But probably have to say like movies and like music videos. Oh yeah. It's probably the biggest thing. Like the thing that made me want a 5.0, because that's what you called them before. They weren't Fox bodies then. Right. Was Menace to Society.
I was going to say Vanilla Ice, Ice Ice Baby.
No, contrary to popular belief, but yeah, no, it was probably just like seeing cars and music videos. I remember Kid and Play had the House Party movies, and I think Play had a 5.0 vert that was red, that had 4Play on the license plate. That, and so I think it was really just kind of that got me into it, and then just kind of cars in general. My dad was a Chevy guy, and a Corvette guy at that, which you've seen the Corvette in the background here. And that was actually his. He's had that since the 70s, and he wanted to get me a Corvette when I was 15, and I was like, no, I really want a 5.0. And he's like, why do you want one of those buckets and nuts and bolts? And that's ultimately why I did.
All right, so next question kind of stems from that. What was your first car?
1983 GT.
Nice.
Yeah, so it was like a silver, black stripe up the hood, up the center, and had, man, these massive, remember the Super Trap mufflers? Yes. Like the more discs that you'd put on, the louder they would get, so to speak. So it had a set of those on it, like the Moroso stickers on the quarter windows. Like just pure, you know, what you'd expect in the 90s. And that car would have been 12 years old when I got it, and I think it had like 13 owners already. So it's amazing that even that long ago, those cars already had so much history to them. And like now, I'd be amazed if that car was still around.
Okay, so one question we touched on it off camera because I've been curious, and I never even heard of them until watching your channel. What is Dech?
So a lot of people will say it's the Canadian Celine. Okay. And about the only truth to that analogy is from a branding perspective. Okay. So Celine is an aftermarket brand to the Fox from the US side. Dech was out of Canada, also did aftermarket stuff to the cars, but completely 2 different business models. So Dech and Celine probably started around the same time, like mid 80s. Both were into racing, and I guess the main thing on the Dech side was that although they sold very few cars new through the dealer, they were more about constant R&D and upgrading. So it was sort of like if you weren't actually racing your car on the track, you probably didn't have a Dech car.
Okay.
And so everything from aerodynamics, brakes, suspension, engine modifications, all of those things. But it was, you were at the track on the weekend. Oh, we just R&D'd this new part. Let's put that on. So they were driven cars.
Nice.
So trying to find a wrapper Dech, you're never going to find one. With that said, there was this whole other beast that was happening that Dech themselves weren't even aware of at the time. And I was too even young to understand this personally. So even though Dech were sort of these street legal race cars that were on the racetrack, well, I was just used to seeing the body kit on Foxbodies rolling around on the street, which were bootleg kits that people wanted them purely from a styling perspective, not a racing perspective. So back in the day, Toronto on a weekend and you went to wherever the hangout was, you would see all of these Dech body kitted cars. Now to me, a Dech was a Dech if it had the kit. But 90% of those cars were just the body kit because people wanted the look. They had nothing to do with the actual racing and Dech as an organization. Because if you actually wanted just the body kit from Dech, they probably wouldn't have sold it to you.
What do you think that a lot of people get wrong when it comes to Fox body builds?
I think they lose sight of the end goal or what they actually wanted to accomplish in the first place. So whether that's like influence of social media or, you know, it's almost just like looking at the parts catalog in the magazine back in the day. And it's like, ooh, you know, like I want this and I want that. And everything else. And, you know, people almost forget, or they think because it's an aftermarket part, it's going to be better. And then, you know, they'll throw, say, the whole Maximum Motorsports parts catalog on a car that they want to drive on the street. And they go over those first couple of bumps. And then they're like, man, like this ride's not very good. And it's not that the parts are necessarily wrong. It's just that the parts aren't the right parts for the application, or I guess the terrain that you wanted to travel with. I think similarly with, you know, some of the larger motor swaps and everything else, people just, they don't take into consideration how much effort. It's all in the details. You know, like it doesn't take much. We've seen whatever backyard shade tree mechanics can do a lot in their backyards and underneath the shade tree, but are you going to get all of the comforts, you know, we were talking about AC and stuff like that you're looking for. And I think finding the right shops that can really work with you and not just want to say take your money, that's another thing too. Like if somebody isn't asking you or challenging you to a certain extent to understand what it is that you're trying to achieve with your build. Like, do you want it to be a show car? Are you actually going to drive this car? Do you want to race this car? Do you intend on selling the car in the future? You know, are you investment versus, you know, just turning it into a money pit? Or is it, can it be a money pit because you just don't care and you want what you want? And there's nothing wrong with any of those scenarios. However, if the builder doesn't understand that, then there could be some strong communication gaps.
All right, so your channel has evolved a ton over the years. 85,000 subscribers. Congratulations, by the way. What was like that moment when you realized, like, hey, this is something that I should really put effort in, and not something that it's more than a hobby?
Oh, you know, I don't know if there was ever that tipping point.
Mm-hmm.
It's like YouTube's pretty good at like, oh, you've hit this milestone.
Yeah.
And now you've hit this one. And I remember when I think I got to 10, and then I think just mentally it's like 25 is probably the next one from a sub perspective.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you know, you're hoping that YouTube's going to pay something enough that you feel like you're rewarded for the time and energy that you're putting into it.
Right.
And even now, right, like I think the marketing that I get, being able to find customers or clients, it's worth it. But if I was just doing the channel for the sake of doing it,
yeah,
I'd probably still ask, is it really worth
yeah.
doing to a certain extent? But I think what I have learned is that it really doesn't matter if you have like 5K subs or 50K or probably even like 500K. Everyone's always asking the same questions.
Yeah.
Because, you know, on my podcast or some other YouTubers that I've had conversations with that had a greater following, is the same stuff. Like, well, I mean, talking about thumbnails, talking about titles, talking about long form videos versus shorter form, and like all these different strategies that none of us have the answers to, because it all lives within an algorithm that isn't in our control.
Okay, so last one. What build or project do you think people are sleeping on right now? Like something you think is probably going to blow up in the next couple of years?
Foxbody specifically?
I don't think Foxbody specifically. Anything that you got into Foxbodies because you noticed a trend. Like, what do you think is that next big trend that could be coming up?
That's a good one, because like I've seen, and lots of my friends were into the JDM, Honda, Acura scene, and I know that like some of these old CRXs, and like bubble back or hatchback Honda Civics and stuff are. So I'm almost wondering if a little bit of like that Fast and Furious nostalgia is going to start coming back. Like, I was hopeful that mini trucks would do more.
See, I was going to go mini trucks because I think mini trucks are starting to make a comeback.
Yeah, and I'm wondering maybe like a mix of the two almost. Yeah. Because it's always like the tribal paint or like the flashy paint stuff, and like maybe we're going to start to see shaved door handles and you know, some customized panels and stuff again, which would be cool. Whether it's feasible or not, I don't know. You know, paint's not cheap these days.
No. But I will say, like, we're in an age now where back in the 90s, if you wanted that look, it had to be a paint job. Yeah. Now you can go to someone who does full body wraps and have that recreated for half the cost that you would a really good paint job. And, you know, 10 feet away, you can't tell the difference.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point, actually. And I met a gentleman the other week. Oh, I forget what his name is. Just the Dips.
Jason Brozak.
Yeah. So all the Plasti dip stuff.
Oh,
and
dude,
he does all this crazy designs and everything you wouldn't even know. So, he's like, you can clear coat on top of this, you can PPF on top of this, you can do whatever you want.
All right, so Chris, dude, this has been an amazing time. And I know I've been like in your ear for months to try to set this up. So I appreciate you taking time out of your day to let us come out here and like this, seriously, Foxbody Mecca in this shop. Like, this is just awesome to see. So if you're not following Chris's channel, The Infamous Project, go subscribe to that channel. I don't even care if you're into Fox bodies or not, like, your stuff is just something, the stuff that you show is really cool. I really appreciate like the in-depth, like, wiring diagrams like that you run, that, you know, where you're tucking wires and stuff like that. So just really good content.
I'm glad you do, because the how-tos generally suck, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you like watching cars literally get built from built from the ground up, design work, definitely go follow The Infamous Project again. And whether you like Fox bodies or not, it's just cool content to watch. With that being said, as always, please like and subscribe our videos. Make sure you like this video. If you're not subscribed to the channel already, please help us out, give us a subscribe. It's free, doesn't cost you anything. And if you're so inclined, please share this video with your family and friends. As always, I'm Dennis. I hope you have a great rest of the week, and we will see you next time.